Hey guys, welcome to another video, and I'm back in Rimworld where I'm going to show you my latest base. Now this one has some mods on it. It's basically the Star Wars mod where you can get Jedi characters, force sensitive drones who can do a number of things. Now for me, the main reason to have them is for healing. They're really good at healing. And I have Harry here. She's got, she's a really high level Jedi. And you can have a look at her powers here. She's got a whole range of things. But it's the healing, self-healing and healing other, which is really handy. And I use it a lot actually. And you can see here, now we're in the mountain. Originally, I was established over here. This is where Kane came down. He was the first drone, the first person of the group. He's pretty good. He's got high construction. I always try and go for a high construction to begin with, so we're producing good buildings and furniture. And we were over here, and I felt that we were a bit vulnerable. So I saw across to the right here there were some caves and access into the mountain, and a nice sort of bottleneck here where we can put all the security and take down basically anybody who comes to attack us, and it works very effectively. In fact, it's a really good way of building up a big base if you have this type of defense. Lots of experienced Rimworlders will know that this is an effective method of defending your characters. I'm using some auto doors actually, that little alert there. I don't use too many of them. I tend to just use them for the fridge because actually components becomes increasingly difficult to get your hands on in the later game, and you have to rely upon your component assembly bench. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So outside we've got quite a few growing zones. We've got potatoes, corn, and because we're in a hot part of the world, I'm growing a lot of rice. It grows very quickly. You can also see outside here we have our graveyard. I like to have the individual graves so we can see how many we've killed rather than the electrical cremation setup. But it doesn't really matter. Just a personal preference. I like to see how many people we've killed and how many people have tried to kill us. So looking at the main base, the power was always going to be an issue inside the mountain, because you've got no geothermal vents in those areas. And I put in some solar generators and wind turbines where I could. There's one over this side as well, and some more solar. So we ultimately needed the geothermal vents to help power this large base. And so I built a little tunnel through, researched geothermal energy, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those on the outside of the base tapping into that geothermal power, and they're all connected up nicely. I've protected them with some granite walls so that when we've got raiders coming in, they find it difficult to get at them. So that's the power supply, and you can see I've spread it out actually to the deep drill facilities like this one here, deep drill, which is a later technology, and it's digging up plasteel from deep in the earth, which is a very valuable resource. The main base itself, we had kind of like a core group of rooms initially, with some bedrooms and the hospital there, and our common room in this section here, which I could have made bigger, but I can't because of the solar panels. I might expand it into this zone here, the storage zone. This is one of the early rooms where I store granite chunks. They're ugly, so I don't like them to see them, so I stash them away in that space there. And we've got someone working on the stonecutter's bench down here. This was quite important initially, so we had enough walls. I never build any walls in material that can burn, so I always stick with stone. So we've got that central area there, the necessities. We've got the walk-in fridge with a couple of coolers. It's really hot place we live in. It's always summer, so we need to make sure everything's cool. And then this expanded out into a second room, and then into a third room. And you can see here we've got lots of potatoes and corn, and all my dogs. I always get dogs in. They're really helpful for hauling. I've got quite a few of those. They get trained up and they head out and collect stuff. It's so much better that way. I hate having my drones, my players, my people running out and hauling things. What a waste of time. Brookside is cleaning up at the moment, which is... I call him Brookside, he's Brookside. But he's cleaning up at the moment, which is, of course, really important. They get really down if anything's really messy, as I'm sure lots of you know. Now, we've got all sorts of power banks around. The battery banks, you can see we're producing excess, and I keep expanding that out to deal with it if there's any problems. But I'm also expanding out the drain upon the batteries. Like we've got 3 heaters, 3 coolers here in this space. So we do need to have quite a lot of power available. So that was there. We've got that. And we've got a little prison as well in here. We've got one guy, Ramon. Vector's trying to convert him at the moment, but he's pretty tough. He's 96% difficulty, so we're probably not going to convert him. I'll probably release him at some point. But we've got a lot of food, so I'm not too worried about the drain on our resources. We've got, instead, we've got rice fields quite close to the base, so the transition between these is pretty good, pretty quick. I was unsure about just spreading it out like this across this space, but it's worked quite effectively, so it doesn't have to be precise squares for fields. You can kind of fit it in where you want it to. And in this zone, we've got the security, as we mentioned earlier, so we needed a fire foam popper there. They go a couple of times. People get in, maybe one of these blows up. That goes off immediately, stops any fires. Really handy. Now, storage is a big thing once your base gets to a certain level. You've got lots of raiders coming at you. So I've got 1, 2, 3 general stores. And I've got a specialised blocks store here, or warehouse. I was actually building some jade royal beds here. I'm going to put those into the main, into everybody's bedroom, so they got something even nicer to look at and sleep in. Gold and jade they're made from. So that's really important. And the dogs are sleeping all the way around in these spaces. I was thinking about making a kennel system. I probably will. I haven't got around to doing that yet. They're just in a room there and spread out across the store, so they're kind of in the way. But we'll look at making a kennel system for them at some point. Now across to the right we've got a hydroponics basin. Hydroponics basins there in one space, just in case we get some kind of fallout and destroys all the crops, or there's a blight that does a lot of damage, although I tend to cut those out pretty quickly to stop them from spreading. So that's quite handy to have. Growing potatoes in that space. Stevens is doing a bit of cleaning there. And then to the right we've got a crypt where I've got loads of sarcophagi, and they're all pretty high, superior, they're pretty good. And we've got one person who died fairly early on in the game, and that was the scientist Buddha, and they come and visit her grave every now and again. And then we've got the bedrooms over here. Now I tried to make the bedrooms as beautiful as possible. We've got end tables and dressers and some sculptures in there, so that they have a luxurious space to sleep in. And it generally works. It needs a bit of tidying up. I could manage where the dogs go a bit better, because they create a bit of a mess, but I haven't got around to doing that yet. Now, above, in between these beds, we've got the production zone. So we've got a whole range of benches, component assembly bench, which becomes more important in the later game. Smelters, and we've got Ingersoll here working hard at the sculptor's table, producing while he's having a meal while he does that. Multi-analyzer, so we can do research at a higher level, and the high-tech research bench. All those things going in there. Keep it separate from the rest of the base. It's over here on the side. In fact, if we scroll out here, you can see we've got some tunnels going through the mountain where we're doing some deep mine drilling. And we've got Matt's there. He's working on digging up some plasteel, which is obviously a highly valuable resource. which is one of the reasons why I have 22,000 silver. So we're in a really good position. You know, my focus at the moment is to try and upgrade my players. So, for example, Kane, who was our first guy, he has a bionic eye and a bionic arm. And priority is where people have got lost limbs. For example, Harry here has her right arm bitten off. She is our surgeon. So I need to get a bionic arm, but as yet, we've had no pirate ship with that on offer. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. Upgrade the characters. We're also, as I was saying, we've got some other stuff to do on the base. But it's coming along really nicely. I'm very pleased with how it's looking. Having a lot of fun playing the game, of course. It's an awesome game, guys. So that's my base update. Now, I'm going to keep playing this. If you're interested in seeing another video with a further stage, do let me know in the comment section down below. This is on my second YouTube channel. Don't forget my main YouTube channel has a load of content as well. And I'll be uploading a video there very soon as after this one. So, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch up with you next time.